Hey, it's Huck. Now, I'm sorry I have been offline for a while, but, well, flare-ups with my COPD and most recently about where I lost my voice altogether have made it pretty difficult to, make a video. In fact, all the missed time from work I keep running into, a day or two every week it seems, has made it pretty difficult just to maintain an internet connection at home. I've had to shut it off again, and I'm going to be posting this video, at a Wi-Fi hotspot. I'll take my laptop and have that posted this afternoon, I hope. Needless to say, now there are a dozen or more things going on in the world, in the world of news or politics, if you will, that have caught my attention recently as well. And not just because I've had more than my fair share of time, to sit at home and turn on the news. For one, there's President Obama's recent announcement and overture, to Cuba. Now, in effect, that reverses more than 50 years of official U.S. policy. And I got to tell you, he makes a strong case that after 50 years without generating any positive results or any international support for that matter, well, it would seem merely stubborn to expect anything different without a change to that policy. Then there's the continuing war on terror that we in this country are waging. Where to start? Most troubling, I guess, in a sea of trouble on that front, was the recent Pakistan horror, which saw Taliban extremists enter a school and gun down about 132 students, along with killing at least, 9 adult teachers and staff members of the school. As if killing innocent children, teens, and adults in a classroom, somehow gave, validity to their religious movement. Now, I'm going to have to save my rant on religion for another video. But just like so-called Christians in this country, who have no qualms about the death penalty or war, yet claim to be followers of Christ with complete avoidance of the words actually attributed to Jesus in the New Testament, likewise, any religious movement that takes credit for the wholesale slaughter of innocent men, women, and children, well, I don't reckon anyone needs any more evidence than that to conclude that it's a movement of evil, pure and simple. Like I said, it's a rant for another day, but I will say this for now. If folks would actually read all of the Bible or the Quran or the Talmud and act upon what the messages in each truly are, there would probably be no nation states in the world, because there would be an absence of armies to defend them from the mobs of thugs and organized religions who defy their own teachings and behave solely on their drive for power, greed, and lust. Most religions today are the opposite of what they claim to be. That is an irrefutable fact. There are so many troubling recent events that it's kind of easy to give up hope. To simply conclude we've lost our way and we'll never get back on track. That's why so many folks probably don't vote in elections that really do matter. And those who do vote, well, they're often just the most committed to a cause, their own personal agenda, rather than to any altruistic, better country or world for that matter. It seems very little today happens in the world that moves us enough, in numbers great enough, with voices loud enough to enact any of the changes needed. That's why one very specific issue today has caught my attention. I have been wanting to post a follow-up video to the issues surrounding the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri for, well, really months now. I know I briefly touched on it a while back, but so much has happened since. Some of it encouraging, so much of it not. I remember thinking at the time of the Ferguson incident that Brown himself was an unfortunate face for the kind of movement we've ultimately seen. Unfortunate in that, and I mean no disrespect intended to Michael Brown or to his family, but thanks to the Ferguson police and the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office, we were given glimpses of Michael Brown in a somewhat unsympathetic light. The truth is, we want our martyrs to be pure as the driven snow. And those in power in St. Louis County wanted to be sure we were aware that this was not the face of any poster child for police use of excessive force that all would be comfortable with. Unfortunate, too, that there were a few dozen out of the thousands who have marched in protest that have acted in destructive ways. But I was wrong. Sure, there is a divide, somewhat racial in shape, on the issues involved. As we saw yet another officer escape a fair consideration of the allegations against him in this case, troubling facts about how the grand jury proceeding was conducted continue to surface. But I was wrong because that incident did inspire a movement. And as a result of that movement, people have given greater scrutiny to other such incidents. The case of John Crawford, gunned down by police in Dayton, Ohio, a Walmart store, though his only crime seems to be picking up a BB gun rifle off a shelf and walking around the store with it while he was talking to, I guess, his girlfriend or someone on the cell phone. Or the incident involving Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old Cleveland boy, whose crime was playing with a plastic pellet-firing toy gun at a public park. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm from Northeast Ohio or because it was one of the younger victims that we've recently heard about, but the Tamir Rice case in Cleveland is as alarming to me and repulsive as any of these incidents. In the neighborhood that I grew up in, most of the kids Tamir's age can be seen sooner or later walking around with a BB gun or a paint gun. And while, some of them may have been up to something or other that maybe their parents wouldn't exactly approve of. Maybe target shooting in someone's backyard or taking aim at a crow that landed on a nearby tree branch or fence post. I still don't reckon that any of these kids really deserve to die at the hands of a police officer for their offense. The video of the Tamir Rice incident clearly shows officers arriving at the scene, barreling their police cruiser within, less than 10 feet of this boy, abruptly skidding to a halt and then gunning the boy down in less than 3 seconds of their arrival. Nothing about that sequence of events seems to make any defensible sense on the part of the officers involved. There were no reports of a gun being fired. There was no report or visual proof of anyone being threatened or in any immediate danger. You would think that police training requires officers to evaluate and assess any threat not only to themselves, but to anyone else around before using deadly force. This video does not suggest that any real time was taken or any real precaution was taken to allow any such assessment to take place. It's come out, of course, since that the officer who shot his weapon and killed this 12-year-old boy had recently been fired from another police department in Independence, Ohio, shortly before his hiring in Cleveland. And apparently there is scathing criticism of his abandon with weaponry and the assertion that no amount of training or discipline could effectively correct his unfitness for the job of being a police officer. These were the reports apparently in his personnel file, yet when the Cleveland Police Department hired him, gave him a gun, and unleashed him on the citizenry of the greater Cleveland area, they didn't do so much as a review of his job performance and firing in Independence just months before. I think most Americans, including those protesting these incidents all around the country, do not take lightly the job we call upon police officers to do every day. It's unlike any other job in America in that these men and women encounter the worst possible situations, often very dangerous situations. And we arm these men and women expecting them to make the most critical decisions life offers us, whether to use deadly force. Because police must navigate this unpredictable world every day, it only makes sense that we must expect much of those we trust with that responsibility. To suggest that there are no bad cops is like suggesting there are no bad teachers, no bad priests, no bad customer service representatives. Of course there are. Police unions around the country, and some unscrupulous politicians as well, are now blaming the protesters and those who voice their support for their efforts for the senseless tragedy this weekend of 2 Brooklyn police officers being brutally gunned down in their squad car. As if giving voice to a call for justice when an officer does something wrong is somehow disrespecting and vilifying all police officers, or that it's somehow giving license to those who would commit heinous acts against any officer, anywhere, anytime. That's just ridiculous, and a desperate attempt by these individuals to silence those who call for meaningful change in how police officers are hired, how they are trained, and how they are prosecuted when accused of violating the laws they are paid to uphold. I don't know what percentage of police officers are unfit for service. I don't know. And neither do those police unions and politicians defending them. Only the unjust have anything to fear from a call for justice. That seems to escape those in favor of silencing the protesters. Anyway, that's my opinion. I'd like to hear yours. Thanks for watching. If I get a chance, I hope maybe to be able to post something on my main channel for Christmas Day or maybe the day after. Have a great holiday, everyone.